Hello. This is my chronic pain tag. How and when did your chronic pain begin? I actually didn't acknowledge it for a long time, but I was experiencing chronic back pain ever since the age of 13. I would bang my back onto the ground because I would be in so much pain, thinking that the shock of hitting it onto the ground would make it feel better. My current state, with my lack of mobility from my lower back and from the hip down, I would say became noticeable about 2 years ago, where I started experiencing these very painful aches in my feet. I thought maybe I'd just been working too many hours. Everybody gets back pain, everybody gets foot pain, nothing to worry about. But then the pain gradually increased and my limits decreased and decreased. And eventually it came to a point where I couldn't stand up for more than a couple of minutes before the pain became too much. Since my pain began, I now experience pain in my lower back, in my feet, my ankles, my knees, my hips, and my pelvic. What kind of pain are you in? What does it feel like? So I have to divide it up section by section. My feet feel like there are thumbtacks or rocks stuck underneath my heels. And the front part of the foot, what is it called? The ball of your foot. So even though my feet might look like this, they actually feel like this. I can only really handle that for a few seconds or 2 minutes at maximum, depending on the day. And the longer I stand, the worse the pain gets. So I've been known to push my limits and eventually end up on the floor. If you've ever seen The Little Mermaid, you remember that part where her human legs turn back into fins and she collapses onto the ground? That's me. Moving on up, my ankles have this awful sharp pain, and I believe it has to do with my hypermobility. My ankles are extremely flexible and it's getting very dangerous to walk on them because they constantly give out and I'm very fearful of dislocating them. Moving on upward, my legs typically feel sore, like bruised. My knees can feel like rusty hinges, and it can be very painful to move them from one side to another. My hips also have this very sharp thumbtack feel. Like when I'm lying down on my side, I feel like I might as well have a rock or a thumbtack pressing into my hip. And the longer I'm in one position on either side, the worse the pain gets. My lower back pain can feel like my tailbone is growing and attempting to puncture through my flesh. That's the best visual I can think of. Is it consistent or on and off? Consistently, it's at a low simmer. There's never a moment without pain. It's like a hand twisting at my flesh constantly and never letting go. And sometimes that hand can become a nail and hammer or a fire torch. How does your pain limit you? I cannot sit up for periods at a time without my back flaring up. I can't walk more than a few steps, though I try to around my home. I often end up grabbing a chair or crouching down to sit on the ground. Once I've pushed myself to that limit, it's very hard to get back up again, even for a second. Sometimes the floor is just lava and I can't bear to touch the ground. How do you cope with your pain? Currently, I'm not on any medication, though sometimes I'm prescribed something to test it out and see if it works, but so far nothing has. The nice answer, I think, would be that I try to distract myself. I do what I'm capable of and often push myself beyond those limits in order to do the things that I love and in order to create. The darker answer, I just cry about it. Sometimes I feel absolutely suffocated by my pain, like there's a boulder on my chest. And I'm helpless to get it off. I sit in my own self-pity and just cry because I'll be in so much pain. And flare-ups are scary because they are high levels of pain. And even if I could get myself to believe that it would be over soon, the flare can calm down. but the pain doesn't go away. It's holding your breath, it's grinding your teeth, and never being able to inhale, never being able to let go. When are you most comfortable? My least painful position is horizontal, legs elevated, pillow under my back. How do you feel least supported? I feel least supported when people stop inviting me places because I've said no so many times, or backed out so many times because of my chronic illness and chronic pain. I feel least supported when people dismiss what I'm going through, dismiss my experience by, how do I even say this? Like not taking the time to listen to my experience or to what's happening and just dismissing it with phrases like, oh, it'll be fine. Oh, have faith. Everything has a cure. I feel least supported when I'm asked invasive questions and questions that lack understanding, like, so when are you getting out of that wheelchair? Or you'll never get out of that wheelchair if you don't push yourself. I feel least supported when people offer me unsolicited advice, because oftentimes you're giving me advice when you have no idea what my experience has been and the lengths I've gone to, my journey with doctors, and to simplify my illness and my pain by suggesting things like yoga or meditation or I don't know, just there's, what is it, like herbs, like a bunch of different, or green tea. Somebody's like, oh, green tea is the cure for everything. I don't feel supported when you do that. I feel like you lack an understanding about what I am experiencing. And it feels very dismissive. It feels like you're implying that the only reason I'm still sick and still in pain is because I'm going about things the wrong way. How do you feel most supported? I feel most supported when people check in with me, when people reach out to me and ask me, very frankly, how am I doing? A very simple, how are you? Which gives me the space to share or not share whatever I'm comfortable with. I feel supported when people think about accessibility when they invite me to spaces. But mostly I feel supported whenever somebody asks me the very rare question, which is, how can I support you? Instead of assuming that whatever makes them feel comfortable is going to automatically make me feel comfortable. Well, that was my chronic pain tag. I do feel a bit better sharing that experience with you, and I will leave the questions for the chronic pain tag in the description, and I will see you eventually. Bye.